Hi there, I'm Holly McDonald with the OC Pod, where we discuss all things concerning the lifestyle, businesses, and activities that make our area such a great place to live. Today I am with Bill Lobdell with Newport in the Rearview Mirror. It is an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
So Bill, what is Newport Beach in the Rearview Mirror?
It's a look at local history in Newport Beach. So I started off with a podcast, and then I added some videos, 90-second videos on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And basically it's looking at the people and events known, and I really like the unknown, that have made Newport Beach what it is today.
Yeah. So are you from the area?
I grew up in Long Beach.
Uh-huh.
I went to school at UC Irvine,
Okay.
so I lived on Balboa Island, the peninsula, all that stuff.
Oh, fun.
So that's where I kind of fell in love with Newport.
That's great. So you've been around here for a while. Have you seen the area change a lot in just like this short snippet of history?
Yeah, I think it's gotten, of course, larger. I think it's gotten more sophisticated. I think it's gotten a little bit ritzier.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
But I think the heart and soul of it is still there.
Yeah. So, Bill, you have a history with being the editor of the Daily Pilot. Is that right?
Correct. I was the editor for 10 years, starting in 1990 to 2000.
Okay. So what you're doing now is kind of like a modern extension, I suppose, of the newspaper world, right? But, I mean, tell me more from your vantage point. Like, how do you transition from that and then into this world?
Right. So I worked at the Daily Pilot when it was a really good, vibrant, big newspaper for a local paper. Then I went on to the LA Times. And then newspapers took a nosedive. So I took a buyout there. But I really missed the reporting, investigations, and storytelling.
Yeah.
And so my other jobs after the LA Times, I wasn't able to do that. They weren't in journalism. And so I really wanted to get back to that. And so I had this real deep love for local history from my days at the Pilot, and we did a lot of historical stories and looks back and everything. And then I love local history. I started a podcast in the very early days of the podcasting, like in 2000. I'm going to say 6.
Okay.
So, and I was a triathlete, so we started that. It took off. It was a pretty good little podcast. And so I love podcasting, love local history. In 2021, I had to have a bunch of surgeries, so I knew I'd be like in bed basically.
Yeah.
And so I needed something to do. So I'm like, okay, I love local history, I love podcasts, let's put those together.
Oh my gosh. So you figured out like what filled your cup, what fuels you up, and then you put it together. And it's awesome how many people it's reaching, because like when I look at any of your Instagram posts, like thousands and thousands of people are liking them, and the commentary, like the discussions you get going, the memories you're stirring up.
Yeah.
I think that's so awesome.
Yeah, it was a big surprise to me when I started. My wife was like, I told my wife, if I got 20 or 30 history nerds listening to this podcast, that'd be great. That's all I was doing it really for my own love, my own passion, right? And so then the podcast started to take off, and then my wife, who's very wise, she said, why don't you add videos? People really like videos. And those things, I mean, I've gotten 5 million views on those videos. And it's Newport Beach. It's a very niche subject matter, but I think it resonated with people because they like to know where the city's over the years, the city's progress.
Yeah.
And then they really like to know the most popular ones are the ones that link something that's current with the past, and so they really like that.
That is really interesting. I think that a lot of people are also just like super fans of Newport Beach. You know, like it's where people probably come for vacations. They go to Disneyland and then they take a day down at the beach. Like it has that nostalgia.
Yes.
So that's really cool. I love seeing the old black and white photos, and you know, there's just something cool about it.
Yeah, I think so. And I think people have a natural love for Newport. So the audience is obviously, it's bigger than Newport Beach.
Yeah.
So it's people who either have lived there and moved away or vacationed here and want to stay connected. And so, again, I was just very surprised at the size of the interest in audience.
Yeah, that's so fun. So obviously you've always had an interest in history. What to you is one of the more exciting or more interesting facts about Newport Beach history?
Well, it's only been about 140 years, so I don't know how to say. But I think what's interesting about Newport Beach is there's a lot of forks in the road. Mm-hmm. So for millions of years, let me give you a couple of them.
Yeah.
For millions of years, the Santa Ana River ran down what's now the Back Bay. So that's why you have those cliffs in the Back Bay. And not too long ago, in terms of,
like mankind.
Not too long ago, the river changed course. And so before it changed course, Newport was the coastline of Newport was just like Corona del Mar or Laguna Beach. It was, the waves were breaking, if you know Newport, on like Bayside Drive, on PCH by Hogue. There's no peninsula, there's no islands, there's nothing. So river changed course, it built the peninsula, all the what would become all the islands. So that was a fork in the road. Another one was there was a huge push to have Newport Harbor become a commercial harbor. And so that was basically a done deal. And then through a number of acts, it became a pleasure harbor. So we could add like a Long Beach, Los Angeles port.
That would have been
Newport.
So different.
Right,
oh my gosh.
So different. And then in the early 70s, there was a freeway that was going to go through town, 8 lanes along Coast Highway, and it would have just changed, of course, the entire history of Newport.
Yeah.
And that freeway, the council voted 6-1 to approve it. That's how far they were doing eminent domain on the houses. That's how far it went. Last minute, residents rose up and got that killed.
Oh, wow.
And then I think the last fork in the road, which made a big difference, is the Upper Back Bay, Upper Newport Bay. That was going to be a huge development. So it would look just like basically the lower Newport Bay. Mm-hmm. And there was going to be houses, marina, water skiing venues. It was just going to be this crazy development. And that was really, really far along. But in Newport Beach tradition, some Newport residents rose up and they beat the Irvine Company, the county, and they got that beautiful place preserved forever.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So, Bill, I know for some people history is just like not that exciting, but you have a way of making it more exciting for people that are clearly tuned into your page, your Instagram page, and your podcast. Right. So what are some of the things that you think are really resonating with people? What do you think makes it all so much fun for people to find out about?
I think I uncover things that people don't know about the city, but drive past every day. I'll give you a quick example. Up on Lookout Point in Corona del Mar, if you just look right over the cliff, you'll see this round concrete structure that looks like it's been cut in half. Uh-huh. And that was really the first de facto lifeguard station in Newport. So there was a weatherman who was a really interesting guy, but he was a Russian immigrant. Then went to England, served in the Royal Life-Saving Corps, somehow made it to Newport Beach, and he was a meteorologist. So they built him a weather station. And so that weather station became, because he was a lifeguard, he would watch the harbor mouth. And the harbor mouth back in the day was like the most dangerous place. I think in one 5-year period, 25 people drowned in that harbor mouth. And so he would sit up on his in his weather station and look out and then see people in trouble. And then he had a dory stored at Pirates Cove, and he'd row out there and save these people. So eventually he started the Newport Beach Lifeguard Department in 102 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So, but people don't know. Like, if you look down, you're like, what is this weird, ruin, basically? And it's like, that's where really the Newport Beach Lifeguard Department started.
Oh.
So those kind of stories, what I find interesting generally, the listeners, viewers find interesting, and I try not to do stories that bore me, and hopefully tell, from my journalism career, I'm pretty good at telling stories.
Yeah.
So, and making history, come alive, and again, like I said earlier, tying the present to the past.
Yeah.
And, this is how we got here.
Yeah, you're basically our local history channel, but more fun for sure. I mean, that's definitely your journalistic skills coming out for sure. I guess that's why you were able to merge them so beautifully.
Oh, thanks.
I know recently you just had a contest on the Instagram page that caught a lot of people's attention about dive bars.
Yeah.
How did that go?
Again, that was very surprising, the popularity of it. But I tried to tie in history. I kind of fudged sometimes, so that was a tournament like the March Madness tournament, but it was for the best dive bar in Newport Beach in the history of the early 20th century. I put history somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But it was so we did like a brackets, had people vote on it. People take their dive bars very seriously, I found out, and we had tens of thousands of votes, and very passionate. And Cassidy's won in a landslide.
Dude, that's great.
They were, I went to interview the owner after they won, and he was crying.
Aww.
He was so moved by this getting this award, this trophy. But it was a great way to engage the community.
So great.
And it was fun. And then what I loved about it is the social media managers of each bar really got into it. So they were all having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so it just made for, I think it was over 2 weeks. It was just a wonderful social media experience.
That's great. And I know, like, typically the night before Thanksgiving tends to be a really big spot for dive bars. So you're getting it out there, getting people all excited and nostalgic.
Yeah, they all saw a big bump in,
I bet. You get
patronage.
people, they start thinking about like the good old days and the fun times they had.
Yeah.
So that was a really fun one. I loved seeing the each week how it broke down.
Yeah, we learned in the comments that people met their spouse at dive bars, including Cassidy's, and there were a number of people that were conceived in the dive bar bathrooms.
Ooh. Interesting.
So it was. There's a lot of revelations.
Yes. Oh boy, how fun.
Yeah.
You really do like getting to the nitty gritty of the history. That is. How do you? I mean, obviously you have this background in research and, doing your due diligence as a reporter, but how do you find out some of these interesting local stories? Like, especially from further ago when they're, when people aren't around anymore, like how do you uncover it?
Yeah. A lot of it is just, a lot of it's from what I learned at the Daily Pilot.
Uh-huh.
A lot of it is talking to people, and they'll mention something. Like someone mentioned early on, do you know anything about this pool that was in West Newport? And I had no idea, I'd never heard of it. And then I but I was really curious. It's a really big pool, and so I did two things. I looked at all the aerial photos from that time, and there's this gigantic pool, and it was 2 football fields long.
Oh. Wow.
And a football in a field half wide. So it was I think it was 2 blocks long. And back in the day, saltwater pools were a big draw for developers to put them in to draw people to try to buy homes around there. And then I went back to the old newspapers and found out about that pool and did the reporting on that. So that came together, and now it's the 38th Street Park, if you're aware of that. So it's the basketball courts there.
Yeah.
But so the city developer abandoned it. It was a disaster. They didn't design it right. And the city took it over, and the city gave up on it, just filled it in and made a park.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah. So people drive by that park every day if you're on the peninsula. So now they're like, oh my God, that was a giant saltwater pool.
Yeah, I wonder how many people still wish it was, right? That's so interesting. I love that. How do you think that people will look back one day at like this current era that we're in? What do you think would be like a standout thing that Bill 40 years in the future is going to look back and be reporting on?
Yeah. I think that it's interesting. I think in the 1950s, a woman by the name of Dora Hill, she got elected mayor.
Okay.
She got elected to the city council, first woman on city council. And back then, the tradition was if you're the highest vote getter, you get to be mayor. And so she was the highest vote getter, surprised everyone. No one gave her a chance. And she's a very smart, savvy woman. And so she got elected. But the 6 guys in the council was like, we don't want a woman on there as mayor. And so she told a friend, hey, tell them that I've talked to you, and I don't want to be mayor. I don't, it's too much for me, And but if you just nominate me, that would be enough. I'll turn it down, and we're good. So they win this first city council meeting. They all nominate, Dora Hill, and Dora's like, I accept. And so
I like Dora.
She got to mayor. Yeah, she was amazing mayor, but she was a big reformer. Police were on the take. Tons of backroom deals, et cetera. So she put in the city's first charter, constitution.
Yeah.
And it was the blueprint. It is a blueprint for what Newport Beach is today. So from the 50s on, it's a long answer to your question, but from the 50s on, Newport government was very squared away. The city manager, professional, and the district representation. So before, the Peninsula Balboa people would dominate, so they would kind of they would make sure their interests are served first, and so this districting really helped even out the representation. So all this to say, I think from almost the 50s forward, the city government has almost been the same. I think the city is very stable. Now it's pretty much built out. So I don't think, I think if you go back pre-1950 or even 60s, whatever, you're going to see a huge difference on Newport. But I think going forward, Newport's a very stable city, stable revenue, like I said, basically built out, except for some housing issues they're having here now. So I think there's not going to be a big change going forward.
So, Bill, I hear there is one way that you are making history. Can you share?
Yeah, I was recently named Newport's first historian laureate. And so the city council, especially Mayor Joe Stapleton and council member Robin Grant, they have a deep love for history, so they wanted to create this position. There's a bunch of different history groups in Newport, so bringing them together, having panel discussions, preserving the city history itself, and keep doing what I've been doing, but make that available to as broad an audience as possible. So Newport Beach has a lot of different and wonderful historical organizations. So the idea is, how can I help them in any way possible, maybe bring them together a little bit more, and just get that history out in the community even more, whether it's like a lecture series or we're doing right now Newport Beach's Mount Rushmore. So who are the 4 most important figures in Newport history?
Yeah.
So we've got a little blue ribbon panel with representatives from all those people, all those organizations, and we will come out on in December with the 4 people.
That's cool. And I also think that December is a fun time to talk about history because we've got the boat parade and everything, and I'm sure the history there is really interesting.
Yeah, it's the boat parade dates back, depends how you do it, but it dates back to basically 1909.
Oh, wow.
When there was maybe even 1906, when there was a Italian who had a gondola in Newport Harbor, and he rode it from Long Beach down to Newport, which is interesting.
Oh, that ties your history together.
Yeah. So he strung some lights on his gondola, and that became sort of the first lighted boat in Newport Harbor. Oh. Then they had a summer boat parade that was huge, drew huge crowds, and eventually they shut it down because it was so big.
Oh, no.
And it was crazy. That bonfires, fireworks, it was nuts. And then that kind of sort of morphed into the Christmas boat parade.
Oh, okay.
And so it's got a long history.
Where did the Duffy boats come into play?
Duffy boats, they were invented by a 16-year-old kid named Marshall Duffield.
Oh, 16! Oh my gosh.
16, yeah. He decided they had a little, he grew up in, I think, Bay Shores. His dad was very famous. He was a USC quarterback and a big mover and shaker around town. And so Duffy, the son, their boat they had like a shore boat or a little cruising boat, and it kept breaking down. And he said, golf cart engines never break down. I'm going to put a golf cart engine in a boat.
Oh my gosh.
And so everybody said, you can't be done. It's the water's, there's no way. And he did it. And, at 16. And now Duffys are around the world. But that's a homegrown invention.
I love it. That's one of our favorite things to do.
Oh, yeah, I get it.
So, Bill, where can people listen to your podcast and find you on Instagram and all the things?
Okay. Podcast is just any podcast platform. It's Newport Beach in the rearview mirror.
Uh-huh.
And then the Instagram is Newport in the rearview mirror with dots between all the words.
Yes, and you can go find out all of the cool local lore and everything that Bill has uncovered. So, Bill, thank you so much for sharing your passion and your knowledge with everybody, and for doing the page and the podcast. Everybody loves it, and so honored to have you here today.
Oh, thank you. It's a lot of fun. I love being here.